I want to go over some basics with you so that way you can be working on your engineered animal. First basic I need to know. Where do I go to find out the requirements of this project? Maddie. Good, so I'm going to go to my classroom, and I'm going to go to Keller Science. And right here, I have my assignment for my engineered animals. This gives me a really nice overview of everything I need to require, or everything that is required of me. Because people can view it. So here, you can see, these are the requirements. You have to name it. You have to identify its ecosystem. You have to include a food chain and a visual. But you also have to do some writing. And these 4 paragraphs must be included. The first paragraph is about the animal that vanished. Paragraphs 2, 3, and 4 about your new organism. Sorry, Isabel, I'll say organism. That you are going to be focusing on from here on out. Many of you are wanting to make a Google Slides presentation. Many of you know how to get started, but have had a lot of questions for me. So if I have a brand new web page open, who can tell me how I'm going to start my Google slideshow? Tiana. I could go to Google Docs, but I could do it right from here by going to this waffle. So I'm going to click on the waffle, and look at there it is. Slides. Here's the thing I really like about Google. Everything is color coordinated. So all the blue documents are docs, all the yellow documents are slides, and all the spreadsheets are green. So it makes it very convenient. So when I go to my slides, you're going to notice I have quite a few if I were to scroll down. So we're not going to worry about all of those projects I have. Instead, we're just going to print a brand new blank one. You could pick a template, but I think the blank is the way to go. The other thing I really like about Google is a plus sign means I want to make a new one. Now, a lot of you aren't really ready for your formatting. We want to put our information and then format, but some of you keep asking me questions, so we're going to go over some of the basic things or basic parts. So first thing you want to start with is a theme. You can see that there's a lot of color backgrounds. I find personally that the color backgrounds tend to be distracting, so I usually just go with plain and then just close it. I can then put pictures or other images as my background. If I want to add a slide, I just go up to the plus sign. On my first slide, should I make a title? Probably. What would be a good title for this project? Sadie.
Well, I mean, like, I'm just going to use, like, my animal. But
Perfect.
I'm going to say, like, making, well, I'm going to give Layla credit for this because it was hers, but making a better narwhal.
Good. So making a better narwhal. And then her subtitle could be by, and then her name. So mine is just going to be engineered animal, which is really boring. And what if I don't want my title to stay here? How are some ways I can change or modify my title? Jack?
You can either make it bigger or smaller by clicking on the squares in that box in the blue one.
So these squares, and notice how two triangles pop up, 2 arrows. So I could make it bigger by pulling it from a corner, or I could make it bigger by pulling it up and down from the top. And I notice there's a lot of wasted space here, right? So I might want to make this one smaller. What else could I do to this title? Chris?
You could also highlight the whole thing and then change what type of
Text.
text.
Good. So I could highlight all the words, and I could go up here to my text types, and I could change my font to something different. Notice when I go over the box, do you see when I get these 4 arrows? What does that 4 arrows mean I can do? Dylan?
To move it.
Yeah, I can move the title around. Now, the thing I really like about slides is, see that red line? That red line tells me it's perfectly centered. So then I can click this one, and I can move it around. And let's say I move it over here, but then I keep sliding, and it's going to tell me, boom, perfectly centered. And that's going to be really important for when you go onto your display mode. Any other, any questions about, what your title slide should have? Isis?
If you want, can you make a slide like animals or something?
Yes. Abby?
Well, this is more of like a comment,
Mhm.
but you could also use the arrow keys if you don't want to if it's perfectly centered and you don't want to move it off center, or if it's perfectly up and down and you don't want to move it up and down, you can just move it to the side or you can move it up and down with the arrow.
As long as the box is highlighted, then the arrow keys, if I get on my 4, then the arrow keys can move your text box. Layla?
And also, I think that I honored Google. I saw that she added her animals and fishes, so she added a small little picture
Good.
of her.
So I'm going to go to my next page, and let's say I want to add an image. I don't want to have to go and open another website and find the pictures. This is a Google document, so I can do a Google search, and I can insert a picture just by going right here to Insert, and I can click Image, and I can do a search, and it takes me everywhere. These are the images. It's searching Google. It's searching life. So I can type in, oops. And I can get Sadie's animal. And maybe Sadie wants to take this nice little black and white, and that's going to be really big. But maybe she wants to make it small, and she wants to put that little picture in the corner of every single one of her slides. She could easily do that. Okay? So think about how you might want to add, you might want to format. Notice how the text boxes already pop up for me. I can go to Slides, and I can go to Slide Layout, and I can decide maybe I just want blank. So then that way I can add my own text boxes and my own pictures and kind of do my own thing. Or I could look at the choices they have here, and maybe I'm going to do something where I need 2 different text boxes, like a before and after. Something like that. What are some general questions you have about creating your slides presentation? Sadie.
I remember last year we did a book report,
Uh-huh.
and I'm pretty sure it's called Transitions, and
Yes.
when you go to the next page, it almost maybe it could be a cube or something like that.
Yes. So when I go to my transitions, you are going to go to transitions. You can go here, but there's also a way to insert them. But it's insert, transition. But right up here there is a button for transition, and you can click how you want your text to come in. I have a warning. Limit your transitions. Every time you type something, you don't want it to slide in from the side and then spin in and then disappear and appear. You want to keep it simple so that your viewer is focused on your content and not all the crazy things on your slideshow. But you can do that. So let's say I go back to my title slide. And when I want my title slide, I just want the title to be there, but I don't want my name. So I am going to add a transition. See how there's no transition? I'm going to select an object to animate, which is this text box. And I want it to fade in. When I click it, looks good. So you're going to see my title is going to not be there. And then when I click, my name is going to pop up. So simple transitions like that are fine. Maybe you want to start with the picture. And maybe you want to have the title and no picture, and you want to click and the picture shows up. Totally fine, just don't overdo it. Chloe.
This is like a just pressing?
Yes, you can go up here to the image box as well. So this bar here is a ton of shortcuts for you. So you could go straight there and do your search. Love that. Tiana, question?
How do you delete a slide?
So let's say I didn't like this slide. See how it's highlighted in blue? I can actually just hit backspace and it disappears. Great thing about this, I can undo it. Or I can go up here and I can cut it. Okay, so you can easily, or let's say I wanted this narwhal and I wanted all my slides to look like this. I can copy this, Control C, and then Control V, and all my slides are going to have the same format with that same image already done. Rachel?
Will this slide show up on our Google Docs?
Yes. So automatically, when you go back to, it's not going to be in your Google Docs, it's going to be in your Google Drive. So when you go back to your Drive and you go to your Recents or you go wherever it's going to be, it's going to pop up right there. Just like all the other Google assignments or presentations, it automatically saves. You're going to notice mine's untitled. What does it need to be named?
Your number and engineered animal.
Good. So student number dot engineered animal dot Keller.
And share it to Miss Keller.
And share it just like we share our other assignments. Okay,
Can I share it to Miss
you can.
Keller? Yay.
She did tell me that you guys are sharing writings with her. She did tell me that.
Are we supposed to have paragraphs, or are we supposed to have paragraphs on the slides?
You can. So I'd like to show you my example, but I also don't want to steal anybody's idea. So how many of you are okay if I share an example and you know if you have the same idea, you can still use it? Do I want to see a bunch of people changing their ideas and doing what I'm showing? No, and this is why I show you this after you've done your own brainstorming. So my idea was creating a snake that used the power of plants. Plants get their energy from the sun through photosynthesis. I'm noticing quite a few Chromebooks open, and I'm worried that I'm not going to get your full attention. So if I were to go to my present mode, you're going to see, super simple, I gave my animal a name, Solar Snake, engineered by me. So this is the original animal. The original animal was the green anaconda. So I had a nice paragraph explaining the green anaconda. The green anaconda was a dominant predator in South American tropical rainforest that has mysteriously vanished. Scientists are not sure where this animal has gone. They do know that its habitat is frequently destroyed by deforestation for raising cattle. Did I give a reason why I think they disappeared? Yes. There are two different hypotheses about the anaconda's disappearance. One thought is that the deforestation killed off too much of their prey, causing their large predators to die off. This large predator. The second idea is that the animal was overhunted by humans since this large snake has no natural predators. The anaconda becomes very vulnerable and easily spotted when their shelter, trees and other plants are removed. First paragraph, all about the original true animal. I think I probably didn't answer all the questions, but I at least got started. Chloe.
I have a question. So you know how you named yours is completely new?
Yeah.
What if, like, say you are using a lion, and do you have to change the name, or you could just call it lion with the...
It's going to be your choice, but think about what's going to be confusing and not confusing. Second slide, new and improved. Scientists know that the disappearance of the green anaconda will be detrimental to the rainforest habitat. So a group of zoologists have created a new animal species to replace the green anaconda, the solar snake. This new and improved snake species has been designed to survive in an ever-changing environment. Zoologists transplanted plant cells into the scales of the snake. The chlorophyll and chloroplast give the snake a greenish color. But these cells also allow this top predator to go through photosynthesis. This means that if the solar snake cannot find enough small prey, like birds, lizards, monkeys, and bats, to eat, it can make its own food. Scientists are hoping that this improved species will thrive in the South American tropical rainforest and reestablish balance. So real quick, I'm going to pause. I'm going to go back over to my assignment. Did I give it a name? Have I told you what ecosystem it's in? Cool. Did I tell you what disappeared? Did I tell you what the animal looked like? I showed a picture, but I didn't use my words, so that is something I need to do better. Did I tell you what the role of this animal is in the ecosystem? Top predator. Okay, cool. And did I tell you why I think it vanished?
Yes.
Did I describe in general what this new animal looks like?
Yes.
I said it was greenish. Did I say where it lives? Same place, kind of. Did I tell you what it eats? Yeah, like bats. I listed them.
What it eats.
Oh no, what eats it. What it eats and what eats it. I know. No, every year, no matter what, somebody says that. It's funny. Third paragraph, have I described its specific adaptations? The chlorophyll and the chloroplast. So maybe I need to do a little bit better. Have I described how it interacts with humans at all? Okay, and I'm not done yet. So let's keep going and let's see if I met everything. Okay. I decided to focus on the internal structure. I told you that you had to include an image. I already had some images, but I wanted to show you where I modified this animal. So since the internal structure of the snake is very adaptable, allowing snakes to digest whole prey and hold their breath for long periods of time, the zoologists who engineered the solar snake kept all organs the same. Notice in the diagram they did implant plant cells into the skin or scales layer of the animal. So you can see this is just a picture I found on the internet of snake anatomy. It was very generic. And you're going to see that they have internal organs like the lungs and the heart and the trachea. But I added in plant cells. Does it look like I added it in? I will show you in just a moment how I did that, so you cannot tell that I added it in there. The other thing I did is I included plant cells, what a plant cell would look like. So this is what I inserted into the scales of that animal. That is how I adapted it. Here is my food chain, which is really like a food web. And I included that here's my solar snake. It is at the top, kind of with the jaguar. Again, this image I just found and modified it to meet my purpose. Now, engineering animals is a new field of study. Scientists will be closely observing how the solar snake does in the South American tropical rainforest. If this experiment is successful, who knows how many new animals will be introduced in the wild. Now, this is what it might look like if I put it on a poster. Notice how it's all my paragraphs together and all my pictures just condensed into one big image. So this is what it might look like if I put it on a poster board versus the presentation mode. Abby.
Okay, so this may kind of be a technical question, but what if, because you know how snakes shed their skin?
Yeah,
What happens if they shed all the...
So, but they're not shedding their scales. They're shedding their outer layer. So that's a great question that maybe I should cover, and I should clarify that the chloroplast and chlorophyll are in the actual scale and would not be lost during shedding. It's a good point. Nobody's ever brought that up. Chris.
First of all, can we go back to the slide? Shouldn't the solar snake also be down in the producer?
Maybe. But is it...
Is a top consumer?
But remember, it wouldn't be in the producer section because it's not being eaten by herbivores. It's using some of the similar characteristics, but that doesn't make it go anywhere. Okay, do you have a second question? Okay, Rachel.
Actually, I just, when Shouldn't the sun also be pointing to the solar snake?
It could be. I should maybe add in another arrow that points to the solar snake. Or take the arrow out altogether and just have the sun be there. Kyle?
I have a question, not about slides, but a presentation.
Yeah.
Can you also do docs on it?
If you do a doc, it's going to be like just for your paragraph writing. Is that what you're thinking? Because everything you do on a doc, you can do in slides, but you can add more detail. It's actually better. So you can still type like you would in a doc. So let me show you how I would modify this slide. So this is a picture. You can see this entire slide is just a picture I found on the internet. I went around and I looked for a tropical rainforest. So see, I can resize it. I just stretched it, or I didn't stretch it, I enlarged it so it would fill the entire slide. Because if you stretch it, it gets kind of funky looking. But let's say I don't like how this arrow is only pointing to the producers, because Rachel brought up that it also should point to the solar snake. What I can do is I can insert a text box, and I can take this text box and I can stretch it out, and I'm going to move it using this little arrow. And I'm going to use it to cover up my arrow. Okay, so I'm going to get it the right size, and I'm going to get it in the right place. And once I see that it's covering my arrow, now I'm going to format this text box. So I'm going to go up here and see how these boxes pop up here. I want there to be no line color, and I want it to be solid fill of white, and it makes my arrow disappear. So I'm actually just putting things over them. It's kind of like using a whiteout, because I can't change that image because it's not my image. Chloe?
Well, what if you want to, like, say you make your animal a different color than it already is? Could you do that?
It's going to be a little bit harder. So it's going to be more challenging. But let's go ahead and look and see what I did on this snake. Again, I found this anatomy picture, and all I did was I added a text box with the word plant cells, and I made sure to find a font that looked about the same font as what was already used. And then I drew in a line that connected the snake to my text box. And that was it. Nope, because the drawing, am I going to be able to write it with that perfect printing? So I just inserted, and this text box, I wanted to make sure that my fill color is transparent. If I had done white on my text box, see how the line, that was my line color. So I wanted to make sure my line is transparent, and I wanted to make my fill transparent. If I had made my fill solid, it would look like that. And then people would know that I did it. So, but if I put transparent, making it see-through, it looks like whatever's behind it. So there's a lot of little tricks you guys can use to make your presentations look good. I did use a theme that was just very simple and gray. I actually used a plain theme, and then I just changed my background color. So my background, I chose the color I wanted. That again was simple, so I could focus on my animals. Any other questions about presentation details or formatting or things you're concerned about?
Actually, this is more of a one.
Okay, cool. Now, did I meet all of the requirements of this assignment?
No.
No, it needs to be improved, but do I have a really great start?
Yes.
Okay, so this time is yours. Please use it wisely, and I will be floating around for those one-on-one questions.